Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Amma, for that warm welcome. Thank you. And thank you to all you beautiful ladies who were dancing with me. So I'm going to share about a time when I didn't take care of my physical wellness and the lessons that I learned. And if I'm speaking too fast, please raise your hand because I know I have a bit of an accent and I get excited. Okay. It was the 14th of April, 2021. And I'd woken up with one of my usual headaches. I'd been having headaches for around 7 months. But on this particular day, it felt different. I felt very lightheaded, foggy, debilitated, like almost as though I was about to pass out. But in spite of that, I carried on with my morning routines. I showered, I prayed, I wrote my journal. But in doing all of those things, I wasn't doing them with any joy. It felt like there were big cement bags on my shoulders. I was so unhappy. So at 8 o'clock, I had a call with my accountability partner who I speak to every single morning. And she looked at me and she said, Catherine, there's something wrong with you. You need to stop work now and take a break. And at the time I was like, I've got to go on board meeting. I have to send reports. I cannot take any time off. How many of you can relate? Right? But something unusual was happening to me. I could feel these pins and needles going down my arm. And my speech was slurring. And I know something is wrong. So I rang up my client whose board meeting I was attending, and I told him I couldn't make that board meeting in a very slurred voice. And once he heard me, he knew that something's up. So he called my PA, who happened to be working at home at the time as we were in COVID restrictions. And he asked her to take me to hospital immediately, and he'll have his family doctor waiting. Very reluctantly, I followed them to hospital. You know, I hate hospitals, right? Because I feel like people go in alive and they come out dead. But on this day, I was forced to heed the request, and so reluctantly I ended up in hospital. Within a few minutes, the doctor diagnosed one thing. I'd had a stroke, a very mild stroke, but I'd had a stroke. And it was early intervention that actually saved me. So here I am at 50 and feeling, well, I'm now 52, hello. But at the time, here I was at 50, just suffered a mild stroke. And I have my whole life ahead of me. So after the initial shock died down, I then went into victimhood. If only my business partners didn't put so much pressure on me, I wouldn't be working so hard. If only my clients didn't want meetings all the time, I wouldn't have to work so hard. If only people would just do what they need to do, I wouldn't be working so hard. If only, if only, if only, if only, if only. How many of you, when you go down, have ever gone down to there? Yeah, and I was there. And I believe we all have moments in our lives when we do that. So after the if only died, I'm quite a resilient person. I said, hey, I'm a coach. I speak about positivity. I better get myself off the ground. So after a few days of being in the sticky mess, and here's the thing, it's never about it ever being clean. What I've learned is that life is never perfect, and there'll always be moments when there's sticky situations when your mind is negative, and it's okay. What matters is how long you stay there. So I kind of dragged myself. I felt like I was in a big pile of chewing gum. You know, chewing gum is so sticky. Like I was in it and I was surrounded by all of this. And I was like, I've got to get myself out of this. And I asked myself 2 questions, which I always ask myself. How was I responsible for this? And what are the blessings in the lesson? Two questions that I always ask. How am I responsible? And what are the blessings in the lesson? So where my responsibility lay was that, first of all, my lack of sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I would be at my desk by 6 a.m. I'm leaving at midnight, 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m. So I was really sleeping for 2 to 3 hours a night a week, to be honest. And this had been going on for about a year. And so because of that, my mind was not working very well. I wasn't getting the sleep I needed to restore myself. And because I was so busy, anyone that knows me, until you live with me, you will never understand how busy I get. But that was before, not now. I wouldn't even make time to cook. I wouldn't make time to prepare nutritious meals. My favorite snack was roasted plantain and groundnuts from the roadside. Literally, that was what I was living on almost every single day. I'll have some pineapple as well and some mango, but that's it. I wasn't eating. And I became really thin, which actually I quite liked. So there's a lack of good nutrition. And sitting at your desk all day without moving it's just so bad for your body. So a lack of exercise, chronic people pleasing, not being able to say no to people was another issue. And lastly, negative thoughts I'd been having about myself. Because my mind was so weak and my spirit from a lack of sleep, because I believe that sleep really restores your spirit. It helps your mind. Because I was so weak, and this is the first time I've ever said this publicly, I had thoughts of suicide. There were days on which I had wanted to end my life because I was so weak, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I believe that one of the reasons I had that wake-up call was that my body was reacting to the negative thoughts I had about myself. So those were the lessons, right? But there were blessings, because the first thing is that I've really learned to put myself first. I needed to learn that lesson because everybody else came before me. And I know you can all relate. Your friend calls you at 1 a.m., they need to talk about an issue. Your client needs you to deliver on something. It's always everyone else. Your children, it's always everyone else. But I learned to put myself first, because if I die, I'm gone, right? And through that, I learned to put in place boundaries. We all hear about boundaries, but I really learned to put in place boundaries. And I also intentionally put self-care practices in my journal, in my calendar. So now I make sure that at least once a month for a whole weekend, I'm off. I either take myself away for a weekend, doesn't matter where, or I switch off my phone. No one can find me. For 2 days, that's just me. And now, when anyone asks me to do anything or for anything, my first response is no. No, and you know what? It feels so good. No. It feels good. Then I go away, I think about it, and I say, okay, if I do this, or I have to help this person in this moment, or give up my time, what do I have to let go of in order to make this happen? And those are the questions, because we can't take everything else on. So no is my default answer, and I love it. And everyone thinks I'm difficult now, but you know what? They say, "Oh, madam, what trying to?" It's true. It's better I do that than I die, right? And another thing I really learned, one of the blessings, is that I realized, I used to be so tightly scheduled. Like, I know what time I'm getting up. I know what time I'm showering. Everything is like in color blocks in my diary. I mean, it's crazy. But what I learned was that people will always have emergencies. Your clients will always come at the last minute. Your staff at the last minute. People will call you for a last minute something, friends. So now I block out in my diary 2 half days for emergencies. So that allows me to have a little bit of, so if someone calls me and says, "Oh, I need to see you urgently, you need to do this urgently," I have that time. And I'm really loving that. That has really, really helped me. So I leave you with this, that I believe that the foundation to a successful life is your physical. Because our physical houses our spirits. And when we have our spirits are strong, then we can deal with life's challenges. So I truly believe that it's foundational. So how do we do this? Look, now I am a sleep evangelist. I'm still work in progress. Like for the last 2 weeks, I've hardly slept. So yesterday when I arrived, I had to go to bed. And Ariana Huffington is this lady. She says something very funny. She says, "Ladies, sleep your way to the top." Yeah. She means sleep your way. Sleep is so important. It helps your cognitive abilities in your body. Okay. And then I would say that a balanced diet or nutrition. It's not rocket science, right? Sleep, diet, and guess what? The next one I'm going to say, exercise. It's not hard, but it's hard to do. Oh, thank you. It's not hard, but it's hard to do. It's hard to be disciplined. So we need to sweat. The medical research is showing just need to sweat for 30 minutes a day, which is enough. And then it also wards off disease, and sitting is the new cancer. That's what they say. Not new cancer, new smoking. It causes cancers like smoking used to do. The thing with all of this is that we all know it, but there's always a gap between knowing and doing. So I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know. One thing a lot of us miss is our annual health checks. So if you're not doing them, especially if you're over 40, please do them. So many of my friends are just dropping. Like even yesterday, another friend of mine passed away. Last week, I lost one of my business partners. I mean, please, health checks. And ladies especially, please, mammograms and pap smears, please. Very, very crucial. I think doing those in advance will help you with your physical. So just remember this, that healthy habits, keeping yourself in a okay weight. I have some work to do on my weight. Oh gosh, me and my weight is up, down, up, down. Anyway, and less sugar. And, one thing I think is so important, don't let your mind bully your body. That mind-body connection, it's so real and so important. So we're going to do an exercise, because not exercise like this, but a little exercise. I just want you to ask yourselves, or on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with your physical wellness? On a scale of 1 to 10. So just make a note. And when you have a number, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that I'm 5 out of 10 happy about my physical wellness. That's the truth. How could I raise this by 2 points? Shall I sleeping? If I need to sleep 7 hours a night. So that's what I'm committing to do. Sleeping is going to be one. And the next one is getting up early to go exercising. I've only got 5 minutes more, but here's another question I want to ask you. And if you can make a note, is that if you were to take 5% more responsibility, we're not talking 100%, 5%, what would you do? For me, it would be switching off my computer at 8 o'clock at night, every night, and it would be not looking at my phone after 9 p.m. That alone is going to shift things for me because I'll be able to sleep earlier and then wake up earlier. So that's your homework for you to do. And normalize prioritizing your physical wellness. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And remember that your body is a precious vehicle taking you from where you are to where you want to be. So keep it well. You can't get your dream life without looking after your body. My name is Catherine Engmann. Thank you for having me.